So let's talk about edges. Edges are a linear element that essentially break the continuity between one space to another. And we talked about edges more in the concept of shapes, I think back in lecture 3 or something like that. So this is a little bit of a repeat of that idea, but essentially I want to make sure we hit home how we use that in layouts. So edges delineate one space to another. So these could be paths. They very well could be a path through a space, but they could also be fences. It could be walls, and sort of what the idea is that sort of this an edge sort of divides one region from another. And that's the most important thing. So as you can see here, here's a example of this wall, and in this case right here, this wall is pretty permeable because you're able to sort of, it's broken down, it's fallen down, but you can clearly see sort of the outline of where this wall once stood, and you can understand as I am moving from this space to over here, I am going from one logical space to another, and that's what edges allow us to do. So here's another example of sort of a very permeable wall, and we might zoom out to see what this space over here and this space over here, but I see essentially this is the line that tells us that we are entering something new, and that's very important for understanding the flow of spaces. So here's a great example of actually a doubly well-defined edge. So in this case right here, we have a traditional edge. We've got this fence right here, and you could hop over the fence, that sort of thing. But you also have a very clear sort of contrast between this space and this space right here, which is these the trees pretty much all start right on this linear element right here. So if this linear element, if the fence was not here, and you could still understand that I'm entering, you're in one spaces versus another, and that really starts to sort of blend. If these trees were maybe more on a staggered sort of space, it'd be harder to understand where you were in, if you were in one space versus the other. So as you can see here, this is an example of top-down of, we often use paths in our human spaces for understanding how we divide one space from another. So this sort of road around here clearly defines, okay, one property from another, or at least the section of property from another.